Hey, boss, you wanted to see me?
No, but while you're here, what's that puny box for?
Oh, just working on the next statue.
So let me get this straight. You hit 100K, celebrate with a large statue, well received, and then you want to follow it up with this puny thing? Next!
We could do this one.
No way!
How about this one?
No, bigger!
Okay, this is perfect.
No, bigger! Oh yeah, that's the one. Now get back to work!
Hey everybody, BAM Collectibles here, back for another statue unboxing review for you. It is made by a licensed studio, Iron Kite, and sits at a quarter scale. Now this is one of the first quarter scale Naruto statues that I will be showcasing on the channel. Only 400 were made, and mine is number 384. We'll see some of the studio's logos as well as other information on there. This base itself, though, is extremely heavy because it's going to be counterbalancing a lot of stuff sitting on top of it. All the holes and crevices you see on the bottom will soon be filled with very large looking tree trunks. Right off the bat, if you can't tell, they went for an extremely realistic looking statue with this piece. We're going to see it riddled all throughout each of these large branches and tree trunks that I'm going to be showcasing. Each one is going to be reinforced with a large steel rod on the bottom that plugs into the base. My guess is they have a large steel wire that runs up the entire frame of the tree trunk. I mentioned before, this is a quarter scale statue. If you're not too familiar with how scales work, it really just represents that the size of Naruto and the scene itself is going to be a quarter of what it would be in real life. So if you multiplied everything by 4, then it would be a life-size looking statue. But thankfully, it's not that large because those are insane looking. But what I love about quarter scale statues the most is the amount of detail that you can pack in is overwhelmingly incredible because the size is a lot larger. So you have a lot more of a footprint to work with. Taking a closer look at the tree trunks, again, you can tell just such a realistic approach was taken for this. The moss itself looks a little wet, the tree trunk. I love how it's torn, and the rocks also have some gritty texture to them. But if we take a look up top here, we'll notice there is a notch. That is one of the areas where Naruto's foot is going to be plugged into. There's another branch as well that's going to have another one. But I love just how they're all coming up from the ground directly. And here we have one of the last large tree trunk pieces. I wanted to make sure I pointed out specifically that on these actual tree trunks, there is a slit inside of them, and multiple ones had it. Looks right there. And that's where later on some kunai and shuriken are going to be attached to the tree as if somebody had thrown them at him and got stuck in there. So really cool addition they're going to add. That's where the other foot for Naruto is going to be plugged into as well. Just want to throw it out there, if you do enjoy this statue showcase as we're going to be going through it, I would encourage you to make sure that you subscribe because in the future, I'm going to be showcasing another statue by Iron Kite that is going to be a quarter scale Gaara from the original Naruto show. It's going to be extremely epic, the scene that it's taken from, so I can't wait to share that with you in the future. Taking a look at this here, this is one of the rock pieces that was just kind of covering up a crevice or gap in the center there, and for the logos or the nameplates on this, they actually included 2 different ones. Both connected by a notch with a magnet on here, and this first one, as you saw, was in English, and the second is in the theme of an awesome looking headband, and it looks like they have some Japanese written there as well, but I'm guessing that does say Deidara. Again, I don't have any way to look it up, I'm not too familiar with that, so someone can, as always, can tell me. Here's how the first one would look, and if we stuck the second one on here, here's how it would look. I always love to hear your thoughts. Which one do you like more? Do you like the headband style or the actual English one in the orange letters? As mentioned before, here is one of the ninja tools that they included. I have to say that this is quite oversized looking, even for a quarter scale statue. I don't ever remember them being this large, but maybe they over exaggerate them so that they do stand out a little bit on the statue, but really awesome how they colored all these to look like kind of the main part of it was the darker steel, and then they brushed on the lighter to make it look like it was used, worn, as if it actually scratched against something. All in all, I feel like they did an amazing job with this base. They have a lot of different things going on here between the tree trunks, the rocks, the moss, the realistic looking texture, the ninja weapons, and how it all comes together to just lift up the primary character and focus on the statue, which we'll be looking at now. My gosh, if you cannot tell how huge this thing is, this is an adult male hand holding this bad boy, and it's so heavy and solid. On the bottom, it is reinforced by a steel rod and notch, and man, wow, do I love the paint application on this that brings to life the KCM2 version of Naruto in this form. I've always loved the contrast of the yellows, oranges, and the black, and the way that it goes against each other, the way that it blends so well and brings out all the details. Iron Kite really impresses me with how clean the paint job is. If we look at the top here, there are 2 holes, and that is actually going to be where 2 steel rods that are on the cloak of Naruto are going to slide into to make sure that that, fits into place and doesn't go anywhere. You'll also notice that the top left portion of the collar looks damaged, but it's not. That is exactly how it was meant to be and sculpted as. Another thing I'll mention about Iron Kite's quality is I'm impressed by how sturdy this statue feels. For as large as it is, I would expect things to be a little bit dangerous or unsettling, but once it all comes together, it's really solid. You could honestly pick this up and move it as one piece and not even fret that anything would come off. But look at this cloak. Again, the size of this thing is just mind-blowing, and the colorations on it are gorgeous. Awesome the way that they sculpted this, exactly like the show, where it's got those rips and tears all throughout. And also the way that it's dynamically sculpted is going to go great with how the overall feel of the statue is, especially the jutsu that he'll be using on top. The markings, just like the ones on Naruto's body, are just so clean looking. And then if we look inside here on the left and right sides, you'll see there's very small steel rods that poke out. And again, those are going to brace themselves, so when it does slide onto the body, it holds safely into place. Because while this is not too heavy of a piece, it is important that it is latched onto something because it is hanging midair. And again, we're going to be connecting something very large and heavy to this as well, so everything has to be sturdy. Once lined up, it does take a little bit of force to get those steel rods to fully sit into place. Now we'll be jumping into the remaining body parts yet to be installed. We have this hand here, which is just a hand with a magnet on the end, again colored like the rest of the body, and it will slide right into where the wrist part is. This next part I am seriously torn about, so 2 head sculpts were included. One has his natural skin tone and the other looks like it is cloaked with some chakra on it. So both are sculpted exactly the same, but the only difference is the paint application that was applied on there. Now the head itself looks incredible. I love again the way that the hair is flowing. It is just a flawless piece, the paint application and the paint stickers that are added onto the face. Look at the blending of the hair, the way that you can see the chakra kind of flowing all throughout that. Open mouth sculpts on statues are really tough to get because it's really difficult to differentiate between somebody who is intensely yelling and someone who just looks like they're about to take a bite out of a pizza or a cookie or something. But I didn't mention this before, but taking a look around back, you'll see a hole. That is where the rest of the headband is going to be flowing that was sculpted separately. Again, a very fragile piece. Here it is. I'm happy when they sculpt this stuff separately because I don't want this stuff to break mid-shipping. But again, the coloration looks incredible. We have a steel rod with a notch on the end, and we'll plug that into the back of the Naruto head and get this attached on so you can see how that looks. I hope with me holding this in my hand, you're getting a chance to really, understand the scale of the statue and how much larger it is. But I'll attach this here and swap the heads in and out. So again, you can help me decide which one do you think looks better on this statue. And moving on to the giant jutsu that is used in this statue, they decided not to go with LEDs. Instead, they used a very vibrant, light, colorful paint application all throughout the Rasen Shuriken. One of the things I love personally is how you can actually see the shape of a shuriken in the more white coloration parts, while the lighter blue parts are the obviously twirling and how it's spinning all around. If you flip this on the bottom, you'll see there is the other hand, which is sculpted and connects to this, as well as the steel rod that's coming out there. Again, I can't see because all this is painted on, but my guess is that there is steel rods all throughout this reinforcing the shape so nothing warps or bends over time. This is really tricky to get in, so I did want to offer a different angle so you can see how that slides right in there with that steel rod. There's a few more things they included with this statue, and also stick around to the end to see this one compared to some of my other Naruto statues. As I mentioned, included also is a really cool looking art print of the actual statue that they gave you. And on the back, you'll see there are some instructions so you can see how everything was put in place, where pieces go, their specific numbers. Now, thankfully, there's not too many pieces, so I'm able to figure a lot of this stuff out myself. But if you're trying to sell this statue and need to put it back in the box, I always appreciate when they give you a picture of that. Included as well is a laminated certificate of authenticity. Let me tell you, anytime something is laminated, it is official. So this is a really cool thing that they included. If you enjoy displaying these next to your statues, I'm sure you're gonna love it. Unfortunately, I like to use all my space up to display statues. So these are nice to have for me, but I don't normally display them next to my collectibles. To showcase this, they included 2 pieces of acrylic. And what you do is you'll see there's some holes in all the different corners here, and these are different steel. There's a steel rod in here and nuts, and you can lay out the certificate of authenticity inside of it and then put all these in here, and it acts as a kickstand, so you can sit this right up next to the statue. It looks extremely nice. They do currently have a layer of film on there that you peel off so it looks clear. Now, here is some of my other versions of Naruto statues. This is where you can really get a better idea for the scale and size of this massive statue. If there's one thing that quarter scale statues do right, it is really giving the character the focus, being the center of attention in the statue. As I said, stay tuned. I will see you in future videos where I'll be showcasing Iron Kite Studios Gaara. And I really enjoyed seeing this one. I've never had a quarter scale Naruto statue, so it was an awesome experience getting to share that with everybody. I hope you enjoyed it today, and I will see you in the next video. As always, everybody, do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.